You have the inside track on resilience right now. You sit there in Washington, Tara, and I asked you put out a note really thinking about an availability crisis that we currently have. Spell out that reality that we have in acquisition right now.
The reality is that I think you can see from the weekend the demand for American military power is continuing to increase. And so much of the conversation, including what we just heard from Wayne's great summary, is focused on production of new systems. That's incredibly important. But when you also look at what the United States is bringing to bear in the Middle East right now, F-15s, F-22s, some of these systems are sustainment challenges as well.
Right.
And so there's a production need in the United States. There's also an availability of parts and legacy systems that is equally important.
We're not in any sort of real immediate crisis, though, when it comes to this Iranian focus and battle that currently rages.
We're not. I would say that the United States today is capable, including not just from a military capability perspective, but a capacity perspective of executing any military operation that it deems appropriate. We are not in immediate danger of running out of stockpiles of munitions. We are, when you look at longer-term trends, in a situation where if we are firing 1 year's worth of missile production in a 1 week time, then things start to really become questionable in terms of overall sustainability.
Tara, one of the most read stories on the Bloomberg is about Russia seeing the war in Iran as putting pressure on its own air defense systems in the context of Ukraine. Very interesting. Earlier in programming, we spoke to SF CFO about how Ukraine fits into the Iran dynamic. Just listen to this.
Some of the experience from Ukraine is developed quite quickly into the use. Some of this will take time, and the experience is still coming. So I'm expecting now the focus in AI particularly is so massive, as well as all the other technologies like, for example, 3D printing of the missile, etc., what we can use within the US and European startups.
Exactly the same topics you've been discussing, right? The lessons that should have been learned from Ukraine in predictive preparedness versus, like in the US military apparatus at least, this cultural just-in-time system, essentially. How do you see that learning from Ukraine and what we're seeing in Iran?
I think you put it perfectly, Ed. I don't think the learning has been absorbed enough. And we know that AI, the era is upon us. And what we need to do as a U.S. military, as a U.S. national security apparatus, is better harness it for U.S. national security aims and overall American interests. Your point about being able to look ahead here is such a good example of where AI can be powerful. You know, we were just talking about the impact of this war with Iran, or this military crisis with Iran and on the primes. And yet one great example of how Govini uses AI in this context is to demonstrate that when you look past the primes, the sub-tier suppliers of critical parts for those munitions are shared. And so you end up with these bottlenecks and choke points in the supply chains for military systems that used to be completely invisible to decision makers. That's not true today with what you can do with AI and data. And so the next step is we understand those dynamics. What are we doing about it from a pre-positioning and stockpile management perspective?